Assalamualaikum and hi. In this video presentation, we are going to present to you about research of factors influencing online shopping involvement. And before we start our presentation, we would like to introduce ourselves first as the researcher for this research. And my name is Muhammad Nordania Pinozalani.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Muhammad Haikal Fitri bin Chairuddin.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Nazmi bin Muhammad Sukri.
Hai, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Abdul Azim bin Muhammad Aminuddin.
First, background of study. Online shopping is becoming increasingly the preferred channel, with revenue growing year on year. According to Statista 2018, worldwide e-commerce sales amounted to 3.3 trillion US dollar and revenue are expected to rise in 5.4 trillion US dollar in 2022. Sales of e-commerce worldwide are rising rapidly, with the fastest growth seen in the Asian Pacific region. In Asia, the e-commerce market in China is huge, rapidly growing and increasingly open to products from outside China. In the 1990, the sector first appeared and witnessed rapid growth after 2008. China cross-border trade has sustained a growth rate of about 30% amid the recent global financial crisis and the consequent slow growth in international trade. Malaysia e-commerce sector is showing a positive trend with gross value added in 2017, contributing 6.3% to gross domestic product (GDP). In addition, e-commerce value added grew from RM75 billion in 2016 to RM85.8 billion in 2017, according to MCMC 2018. Next problem statement. Our main problem area is to study the factors that influencing online shopping involvement. We study the attitude, subjective norm, and perceived control behavior from theory of planned behavior by Asgen 1991 that were the factors involvement in online shopping. The first issue that we managed to get from Katrina B. and Benedict 2019 is the technology advance caused the consumer of e-commerce risen almost 21.9 million in Malaysia. As we know, in traditional way, we have to meet the seller directly or face-to-face in order to purchasing something. But the technology nowadays getting advanced, resulted the world become smaller as the consumer has the ability to buy most everything from online. The user of e-commerce does online shopping because of the busy schedule. In this case, they state that online shopping can help them save time in getting whatever they want through the internet. Instead of purchase the product in the convenience store, the consumer can get the product by delivery service when they use the online shopping. Then, second issue is pandemic situation because of coronavirus COVID-19. Every person movement becomes limited. The firm that run online shopping business had used this opportunity to by doing many promotion, including current 11.11 event to gain people involvement, which they resulted to gain more profit. Research objective. The objective of this study is to examine the factors influencing online shopping involvement by investigating the factors that influence their intention to shop online. In order to achieve the above objective, this study had investigated the following subjective. First, to examine the relationship between attitude and online shopping involvement. Second, to examine the relationship between subjective norm and online shopping involvement. And lastly, to examine the relationship between perceived behavioral control and online shopping involvement. Next, research question. Based on the research background and problems, this study had attempted to answer the following research question. First, what is the relationship between attitude and online shopping involvement? Second, what is the relationship between subjective norm and online shopping involvement? And lastly, what is the relationship between perceived behavioral control and online shopping involvement? Scope and limitation of the study. Online shopping involvement elements had analyzed in this project and its relationship with consumer behavior in order to address most influential factors towards online shopping. A quantitative data approach had developed in order to investigate the relationship between consumer behavior and online shopping behavior. Researchers had gathered the data and the empirical data was collected through the survey questionnaire to the targeted participant at UiTM Kota Baru campus. Significance of the study. The purpose of this study aims to address the most influential factors of online shopping involvement using a related theory, which is Theory of Planned Behavior, TPB. The TPB theory is used to gain useful information from a consumer's perspective about their attitude, subjective norm, and perceived behavior control towards their online shopping involvement and their experience of using various online shopping platforms. The model aims to forecast the behavior as the antecedent of consumer behavioral intention through normative and knowledge variable, REDA 2019.
The first topic for this chapter is definition and conceptualization of online shopping. The first point is internet shopping is a form of e-commerce. So to explain this is, online shopping is a limited scope of e-commerce where via an electronic medium such as the internet, the consumers buys goods or services from a seller. Then the next point is the internet provides a remarkable opportunity to make a wide variety of items accessible for customers to easily shop online from anywhere in the world at any time. So the way companies conduct their business is evolving and customers are given a wide range of options and can buy any sort of product from the comfort of their homes anywhere in the world and at affordable price. So the next point is there are a variety of reasons why people purchase through the internet. As for the example is, without actually going to the shop, consumers can buy something at any time and can stumble on the same item at cheaper price by concurrently comparing different websites. And then last one is online shopping offers customers more knowledge and opportunities. So they can choose more products to find desired products quickly and conveniently online based on their knowledge. Next topic is the research theory. So the theory that have been used for this research is the theory of planned behavior founded by Ajzain 1991. So the theory is suitable with the topic which to identify the factors affecting the online shopping involvement. And then the theory had predicted the intention of person to participate in such behavior at a particular moment and location. And then there are three constructs in this theory that had been explained the involvement and its eventual realization on online shopping, which are attitudes, subjective norm, and perceived behavioral control. And the next one is involvement. So what is involvement? Involvement can be defined as the perception of product importance by the customer that is informed in the long term by his or her values and interests. So, low participants means minimal customers' effort and high engagement on the other hand is connected to the intention of customers to look for different knowledge and careful consideration and to compare different products for motivation and values in the buying process by Jasevishit Ufartien 2019. So the behavior of people to involve in online shopping determined based on their interest and perception about the product. The next one is our first independent variable. It is attitude. So what is attitude? Attitude is a psychology, is the emotions, belief and behavior towards thing, person or event. To explain this, an attitude is when a person has a favorable or unfavorable evaluation of performing certain behavior by Chu et al. 2018. And then the person will tend to have a stronger attitude to perform the behavior when it is positively evaluated by Ajzain 1991. And some positive attitudes from consumer may have towards online shopping, but some association show negative attitudes by Lau Hapensang 2009. The next one is the second independent variable for this research. It is subjective norm. So subjective norm can be explained as the belief from any individuals that is important to support and approve particular behavior. And then, subjective norm is a person's attitude towards behavior that develop person's intention to perform particular behavior by Lau Hapensang 2009. Other than that, according to Adzane 1991, subjective norm is a performance to particular behavior that influenced by perceived expectation from others. So, a motivation comply important from other views and also belief that important from others reference to influence intent to make online purchase. And now we are going to the third independent variable for this research. It is perceived behavioral control. The difficulty of enacting a behavior perception is the definition of perceived behavior control. Perceived behavior control can be referred to an individual perception of the availability or opportunities necessary in performing behavior by Adzane 1991. The confidence of a person to perform a certain behavior is an internal factor of perceived behavior control by Han et al. 2018. In order to involve in online shopping, someone must have e-commerce behavior control, which then can be explained in several studies that people who have high control on e-commerce behavior will intend to involve themselves in e-commerce, social commerce, or mobile commerce. And now it is time for me to explain our research framework. So let's take a look at a photo of our research framework. To explain our research framework is, there are independent variable and dependent variable for our research. The independent variable are attitudes, subjective norm, and perceived behavior control, which is based on theory of planned behavior by Adzane 1991. To explain independent variable, the independent variable is the variable modified or monitored by the experimenter and is believed to have a significant influence on the dependent variable. The dependent variable for this research is online shopping involvement. So what is dependent variable? Dependent variable is a variable that depends on other determined variables. As the result of an experimental modification of the independent variable or causes, these variables are supposed to change. And now for the last one on this chapter is the hypothesis. Based on the research framework, there are three hypotheses that had been formulated for this study. The details of the discussion on the relationship among variables are presented as follows. First one is, there is significant relationship between attitude and online shopping involvement. Second is, there is significant relationship between subjective norm and online shopping involvement. And the last one is, there is significant relationship between perceived behavioral control and online shopping involvement. So that's all from the chapter 2.
Okay, now let's move to the chapter 3, which is research methodology, and the first subtopic research design. Okay, so basically there are many types of research design that must be used in any research, and this research basically we use the correlational research design in order to identify whether the independent variable is associated with the dependent variable or not for this subject matter. And basically we use the correlational research design to examine the relationship between the independent variables, which is come from the theory of planned behavior TPB with the involvement of online shopping. And other than that, this research had been studied among the UiTM Kota Baru campus student and staff. And basically this research also had used a cross-sectional study for the time horizon, and because it was constructed a single point in time and had been collected from respondent of the questionnaire for this research. Okay, next is research instrument development. Okay, so basically the main dependent variable of the study is involvement to use online shopping, and the predictors of online shopping involvement are attitude, subjective norm, and perceived behavioral control. And basically the questionnaire was adapted from the previous research, And as for the attitude, we use attitude to measure by a purchase price, service efficiency, and service user friendliness. And as for subjective norm, it will measure beliefs about normative expectations of family, friends, and also bosses. And for perceived behavioral control, it used to measure the complexity of online shopping. So basically, the questionnaire was used dual language, which is English and the translation is in the Malay language. Basically, the form of this questionnaire was consists of three sections, which section A that consists of the demographic information, section B that consists of independent variables, and section C consists of dependent variable. Okay, as for the sampling is a method in which a predetermined number of findings are taken from a larger population so that the sample characteristic can be identified. And this section describes the kind of sampling procedures used to select the sample from the population. And basically, respondents from UiTM Kota Baru campus had been chosen for this study as a sample, and the researcher also decided to use the non-probability sampling, which is more convenient sampling technique in order to generate the answer from the respondents through the online questionnaire. And this sampling technique had been used to collect the answer from respondent and to find out what the factors influencing online shopping involvement among UiTM Kota Baru campus staff and also the students. And basically, this is the most suitable sampling technique when a sample cannot scientifically make generalizations about the total population from the sample because it would not be representative enough. Okay, next is data collection. Okay, so basically this research was used a cross-sectional study as mentioned earlier, which the data had been collected at one point in time, and a quantitative self-administered online questionnaire had been developed in order to investigate the influential factors of attitude, subjective norm, and also the perceived behavioral control towards the online shopping involvement. So basically, the data for this research was a form of questionnaire where the possible respondent had participated themselves to answer the question given. Alright, so as we know, questionnaire is the primary data which is specific and systematic to use in collecting data. To be aided, this method was more efficient as it can be collected directly from the participants that may answer the question given honestly based on the subject matter. Okay, so other than that, as stated in sampling earlier, this research had used non-probability sampling, which is more convenient sampling technique, and this technique had been selected due to the current situation, which are very limited movement to do this research. And in this case, the data had been collected from a group of people that are easy to reach among the UiTM Kota Baru students and also staff. And the last but not least, the questionnaire booklet are also accompanied with the cover letter that give a short and brief description of the study. Okay, so as for the plan for study analysis, basically the statistical package for social science SPSS had been used to extract the descriptive statistics for the study, and it is to measure central tendency and also variability towards the collected data made previously. So basically, the unit of analysis is individual, and the individual chosen were among the UiTM Kota Baru campus organizations. So basically, those are the results of the data review that consists of research objective, concept or construct, measurement, scale, and also statistic for 3 independent variables toward the dependent variables. Okay, next is survey return rate. So basically questionnaire being distributed through the Google Form platform, and we chose 200 respondents consists of staff and students of UiTM Kota Baru campus, and basically process of questionnaire distribution and collection took approximately 2 weeks or 14 days, and there is 40 out of 200 questionnaire distributed were not answered, and the survey return rate is 80%, which is the n equals to 160, as you can refer to the table given.
For the demographic profile of respondent, our respondent come from student and staff of UiTM Kota Baru. Okay, for the summary of frequency analysis for gender of the respondent, female is the majority of the respondent with 55%, that's 92 student and 12 staff. And the male is the minority of the respondent with 35%, which is 48 student and 8 staff. Okay, for the summary of frequency analysis for age of the respondent, found that the student and staff age 18 until 28 years old show the highest number of respondents with 142 respondents, which is 88.8%, while the staff age 40 until 50 years old is the lowest percent as the number of the respondent with 1 respondent, which is 0.6%. Okay, for the summary of frequency analysis for marital status of the respondent, student and staff that single show the 143 respondent with 89.4%, and the student and staff that married show the 17 respondent with 10.6%. Okay, for the summary of frequency for income of the respondent, it shows that the income RM0 until 1000 is the higher respondent with 125 respondent with 78.1%, while the income from 8001 until 10,000 and RM 10,001 and above is the lower respondent, which is 1 respondent with 0.6%.
Okay, next is data normality, and basically data set are normally distributed based on SPSS. So basically distribution is considered as highly skewed if the skewness is between -1 and 1. And basically the table shown the normality results of skewness and kurtosis towards independent variable and dependent variable. And as you can see, attitude, the skewness results for attitude is -1.586, and for kurtosis 1.981, and for subjective norm, skewness are -0.475 and kurtosis -0.612. For perceived behavioral control, skewness are -0.951 and kurtosis 0.248. And lastly, online shopping involvement, as the skewness results are -1.046 and kurtosis are 0.607.
The reliability test. According to Kinley 2010, the Cronbach alpha was computed to determine the reliability of the involvement scale. If the Cronbach alpha were close to 1, the internal consistency reliability of the measure could be accepted. Based on the table reliability result of Cronbach alpha this research, all the constructs show the above 0.7. It's indicating acceptable internal consistency reliability of the scale used. It indicates that the measurement used in this research is valid and reliable. Subjective norm show the highest of Koromba alpha with 0.895. Okay, for the Spearman-Rowe correlation analysis, Spearman-Rowe measure the strength of association of two variables like all correlation coefficient. All correlation study convey the intensity of the relationship or co-occurrence in a single value between -1 and +1 between variable, which the value is called correlation coefficient. Based on the Spearman-Rowe correlation analysis result of our research, all the variable is significant. Perceived behavioral control show the highest significant relationship with online shopping involvement, which is 0.734, while the subjective norm show the less significant relationship with online shopping involvement, which is 0.482, while the attitude 0.566. For the discussion, all the independent variable relationship with dependent variable give a clear and positive association after we get the result based on the rank order correlation of a Spearman. For the first one, what is the relationship between the attitude and online shopping involvement? As we can see on the table, there is a significant relationship between attitude and online shopping involvement, which is 0.566. Okay, for the second one, what is the relationship between the subjective norm and online shopping involvement? As we can see on the table, there is a significant relationship between the subjective norm and online shopping involvement, which is 0.482. Okay, for the last one, what is the relationship between the perceived behavioral control and online shopping involvement? As you can see on the table, there is a significant relationship between the perceived behavioral control and online shopping involvement, which is 0.734. Perceived behavioral control show the highest correlation result on our research. Summary of relationship between theory plan behavior, TPB variable, and online shopping involvement. Based on the result we get, all variables are significant and the findings are accepted.
Conclusion. To conclude, all of the variables from the findings, which are attitude, subjective norm, and perceived behavior control, are significant. Perceived behavior control and attitude show high significance, while subjective norm show less significant for online shopping involvement. The result implied from UiTM KB student and staff of online shopping involvement was influenced by attitude, subjective norm, and perceived behavioral control. The theory of hypothesis was accepted with the findings from Lau Ha Peng Sang 2009. This implication can be used for the creation of strategies for the promotion of online shopping involvement, targeting the provision of technology, online skill, and information training. Recommendation for organization or industry. Online shopping platform can take this opportunity to improve their strategies to attract more consumers based on attitude. Attitude was found significant to influence people in online shopping. Online shopping providers should design and develop more effective online shopping service based on the findings to deliver value to consumers. Online shopping developers should take opportunity by promoting online shopping through media social, as media social can provide forum to gather information about online shopping experience from consumer. The online shopping can also provide a feedback section in their application to get their consumer feedback easily. Okay, lastly, perceived behavior control show a more significant variable for this research. Perceived behavior control is most favorably to influence the involvement of online shopping. Online shopping platform can improve by developer from this variable, as the developer should reduce the complexity of their application, website, or any platform. Finally, recommendation for further research. It is proposed that further researchers should make similar attempts, but with a greater reach to cover many branches of organization in all states of Malaysia in order to generalize the findings. It is recommended for future researchers should pick broad sample of respondents from many branches of UiTM in the country for the future analysis so that the data collected would be more detailed and accurate. Then, future researchers should test more variables which are enabled to study. As in past research from Ghazali et al. 2018, they were able to test many variables such as intention, trust, perceived ease of use, personal innovativeness, and perceived usefulness. Finally, it is also recommended for future research to use probability sample. Future researchers should use probability sampling, which this sampling can help researchers to choose sample from larger population, and simple random technique is the most recommended for this probability sampling.